I just got an M2 MAX based MacBook Pro 16-inch for video editing in Davinci Resolve, and I'm stunned how good it is. A week ago I was debating between used M1 MAX MacBook Pro and M4 Max Mac Studio because they have similar prices. Video here. I decided to go MacBook Pro route, but all the M1 Max units available in my country were either suspicious or in bad conditions. I actually paid for M1 Max, but it turned out it looked like someone used it as a shield in a sword battle. The seller used photos of another unit. Fortunately, sent me the current photos before we finalized the transaction. Other available M1 Max units were in similar conditions. I could wait and try to snipe a better one, but I was offered M2 Max in pristine conditions for $500 more. So in the end, it was 18% more expensive than what I planned to spend on M1 Max MacBook Pro. It looked new on the photos, it's even better in reality. It is full M2 Max version, so 12-core CPU and 38-core GPU. The CPU is 11% faster in Geekbench 6 and GPU is 24% faster in Geekbench 6 OpenCL compared to M1 Max full version. Also, some say M2 has better media engine, but I think all M1 to M3 have the same media engine, so the same speed. But this one also has a better HDMI port than M1 and shaders in the GPU. Not a big deal for me, I think they are not used in Davinci Resolve. I wanted a unit with at least 64 GB of RAM, which is maximum for M1 Max, and M2 Max can support 96 GB. This one has 64 GB and 4 TB SSD. I checked the SSD as soon as it arrived and it had 0% wear according to SmartCTL. And it had around 20 TB written. TBW for this drive is around 640 TB according to Apple specs, and this was my biggest concern, that the SSD will die fast. My 3-year-old M1 MacBook Air has the same amount of data written on SSD, mostly swapped data. The battery of my new MacBook Pro has 73 cycles and it have 90% health. I also have a 6-month warranty. I was also debating the same configuration from Apple refurbished store, but they have it for $900 more. So too expensive for me. There was Apple Care included at this price for 3 years, and probably it will be in even better shape, although I'm not sure Apple have new batteries in the refurbished MacBooks. So at the end I paid $2,750 for this machine. Still very expensive, especially for a used laptop, but it seems to be worth every penny. What are my first impressions after using it for 3 days? The display, the best I ever have. Before I bought it, I have one professional photo video display, but this one is much better. So I'm glad I went MacBook Pro route, not Mac Studio. I think my Davinci Resolve setup will be the MacBook Pro display as a reference monitor, so clean fit in Davinci Resolve, and my ultra-wide LG S timeline one. I'm not sure I will still use my BenQ. My monitors are 1440p, and I know this is not the greatest resolution for Retina, but it is not as bad as some people say. I'd say I do not see a difference between PC and Mac look when using these monitors in native resolution. And the most important for me are Davinci Resolve 19 timeline smoothness and render times. My old PC is RTX 4080 based. It has 32 gigs of RAM, fast SSD for cache, but it's a bit limited by quite an old CPU and motherboard. Davinci Resolve 19 is not a smooth experience with 4K 10-bit 422 long GOP files because the RTX 40 series lack hardware decoders for this format. So all the decoding of this format is done by an old CPU on my PC. I could upgrade the CPU to a maximum 2 times faster for around $250, but this won't solve my problem that I cannot play 4 long GOP files at the same time. I often use such a timeline when I compare different looks from different lighting setups. With my current config, I can't really play 1 smoothly and 2 are killing this machine. My new Mac can play 4 at 1x and 2x speed with 0 dropped frames, and I haven't tried more yet. At 4x speed it is a bit choppy, but still better than my PC at 1x. I knew it would be that good thanks to the Blackmagic Design forum users who check my footage on their Apple Silicon machines, but I'm still stunned it is that good. I could also update my PC with RTX 5080 to have hardware support for 10-bit 422 decoding and encoding, but it would be another $1,500 if I'm able to find a good offer for 5080. And this will bring the update to $1,750 to $2,000 together with the CPU upgrade. And if I want the CPU to be even faster, then I will have to upgrade the motherboard too and pay more for the CPU. This will make the price of the PC upgrade to the M1 Max MacBook Pro price and almost to what I paid for this MacBook Pro 16-inch. And I will have to spend half a day building a new PC plus few days reinstalling of the software, OS drivers and stuff. And this 5080 based PC will eat at least 500 watts of power during renders. The biggest power usage I've seen so far with my MacBook Pro was around 36 watts. Also, new RTX 50 codecs are not supported in Davinci Resolve 19, so I will have to use Davinci Resolve 20 beta to be able to utilize them. Anyway, I expected that the render times will be at least 2 times slower than my PC, because MacBook Pro GPU is 2.9 times slower, at least in Geekbench OpenCL. I thought that decoders will even things out a bit, but there is no way MacBook Pro will be as fast in renders as power-hungry RTX 4080, which even has hardware encoders and decoders of H.265 10-bit, although 420. And this is usually my delivery codec. So I tested the renders of this troublesome project with 4K 10-bit 422 H.264 long GOP footage on the same timeline first. And it is 2.7 times faster on Mac than on PC. Even when rendered to 10-bit 422, I have the same speed. For this almost 6-minute clip, PC render takes, while MacBook Pro takes 1 minute 27 seconds to render it. The MacBook is even faster if it renders to ProRes, just 1 minute. But all this seems quite unfair because this project favors MacBook Pro due to the codec that is not supported by RTX 4080. So I also render my 2 last YouTube projects. They have H.264 10-bit 422 footage as well as H.265 10-bit 420, which is supported by hardware decoders on RTX 4080. And again, MacBook is faster. But it depends what is the ratio of unsupported to supported codecs. I tested 2 projects, and for the first, the render time is 1.38 times faster on Mac, and the other one is almost 2 times faster. Sure, these are simple projects without much fusion effects or heavy GFXs, but this is 90% of my workflow. So having 2 times faster renders is huge deal. I bet if I use tons of noise removal, which I do not use much since I bought my first camera with dual native ISO, optical flow, dehancer or film convert grades, the PC will be faster than this Mac. But I quickly checked T2F DVR benchmark, which is GFX heavy, and Mac was actually 15% faster in a A_studio timeline, a bit faster on B_free timeline, And PC was 1.6 times faster in C_CPU timeline, which on PC was actually rendered almost exclusively by GPU. So the name of this timeline is quite deceiving. Any other pros of the MacBook Pro? Another plus for Davinci Resolve is that the sound works differently on Mac. It has better implementation. You can switch the sound output after Davinci Resolve is started. On PC, you have to restart it if you connected the headphones and want to switch to them. Not a big deal, but quite annoying considering Davinci Resolve restart takes few minutes. MacBook Pro takes around 36 watts during renderings, while my PC uses 300 watts, 8 times more. If I buy RTX 5080, this will be even more, close to 400 with the same CPU. The OpenCL score in Geekbench 6 is 2.9 times slower than my RTX 4080, but I haven't noticed any impact in Davinci Resolve. Another pro is I can run quite advanced LLMs like 70 billion parameters 6-bit Quant DeepSeek R1 on my Mac. There are some glitches in LM Studio with this model, but it has 8 to 9 tokens per second, which is not that bad. 34 billion parameters version works faster with 8-bit Quant. Smaller models have 30 to 60 tokens per second. I haven't checked Photoshop and Lightroom yet, so not sure it's better or not than my PC. But there are some cons. First, the keyboard layout. Since it was a used computer, I haven't been able to choose the layout. I have to accept what it is. I'm used to US English and this one is UK ISO, so few keys are displaced compared to what I usually use, and my muscle memory is a bit confused at times. But I guess I will use it mostly on my desk with my mechanical keyboard, so it's not a big deal. And for editing in Davinci Resolve, this shouldn't be an issue. It's mostly an issue while switching to another instance of the same application, so Command plus Tilt shortcut. Another con is lack of ports. The docking station is a must. I mean, I could attach everything using spider webs of cables, but I want to be connected with just one cable, maybe two maximum. So the dock I ordered is for around $300, but it has 10 gigabit network built in. Let's hope it will work. At the moment I'm using a cheap $10 2.5 gigabit network, and it is all fine for editing. Just offloading the footage from some of my media to NAS is 2 to 3 times slower than on my PC with 10 gigabit NIC. Another con is that I'm able to only get 85 Hz refresh rate on my LG monitor via HDMI, and this monitor supports 160 Hz maximum. It is probably a limitation of the HDMI port or cable, so I'm going to try it via DisplayPort when I have my docking station. So might be the case it's not MacBook Pro issue, but the way it is connected at the moment. So far, I'm really happy about this MacBook Pro. It is much better than I expected it to be. I cannot imagine how fast M4 Max based one is, since the CPU is almost 2 times faster than this M2 Max in multi-core. The M4 Max GPU seems to be just 25% faster in Geekbench 6, but the media engine is also faster, new one in all M4 series. So overall it might be 2 to 3 times faster in Davinci Resolve than this one. And I had almost exactly the same config of M2 Max MacBook Pro around 2 years ago in my basket. I guess it was with a bit smaller drive, probably 1 to 2 terabytes. And I didn't pull a trigger on it because it was around $5,300 back then. Now I have it for around half the original price. Not sure it was a good decision back then, because my Davinci Resolve workflow would be much more flawless for the last 2 years. Of course, I'm not forcing anyone to switch to Mac. You do you. Back in the day, I liked to build new PCs, but now I do not have time to fool around, so unified MacBook Pro or Mac Studio is a thing for me. And I'm still surprised how good this more than 2 years old laptop is in Davinci Resolve. That's it, and cheers mate!